Radio Rahim with Johnny Nelson. It's been some time, Johnny, since we've had like a big fight in London. I feel like, I'm over here a lot, but I'm on my way to Saudi or on my way back from Saudi. And finally, at Wembley, we got another big one.
You've been here long enough. I'm surprised that British accent hasn't rubbed off on you yet. But now you hear that regular now, you know what I mean?
You know what? But my heart beats a little different. My heart beats in a different rhythm now. It's God Save the King.
It's hot outside, and so you're bringing that weather over here. So that's good for you. But you know what? What a bill! What a bill to be here at Wembley. You've got two Brits, and again, giving the fans something that they want, where they've got fights here on UK soil. And I actually like the fact that the Riyadh season is prepared to step out of their comfort zone and bring it all over the world. I understand. I see what's happening. I get it. I see the picture. They've got all the promoters. You see all the promoters sat down on the stage having to work together. I love that. They've conked heads together and say, yo,
you've been in this game a long time. You never imagined that you'd see these two guys, Frank and Eddie, working together so closely.
With Ben. With Ben. So not at all, not in a million years. And I've said before, when I was with Frank said, Johnny, I got to do business with a lot of people I don't like, but this is business. And boxing is a business disguised as a sport. And I'm quite sure if you put a cartoon catcher above everybody's head, when they're sat up there, you're thinking, boy, first chance I get you out of there. But they've got to work together. They're banging their heads together, which is good. Turkey's done His Majesty's done a great thing to say, if you lot do not get on with it, you're not participating, your fighters don't want to do it, then you're going to have problems. So these promoters know this. That's a promoter's problem. That's a broadcaster problem. As a fan, as a journalist, we're now getting fights what we want to see. Now, it's like the gift that keeps giving. This isn't happening in Saudi. This is happening here at Wembley Stadium.
Right. And there's been quite a bit of moaning of late about people saying that all the fights are going to Saudi and now England isn't getting the matchups that they want. Well, I guess this is an answer to that. Saudi's bringing it here. But is this the best matchup we could hope for the IBF?
For now. Now, in regards to it being for the IBF, I think this is where the governing bodies show their greed, their ignorance, their stupidity. We all know who the best heavyweight champion is in the world. We've just seen an undisputed fight. So now the IBF is saying, no, you know what? We're going to have our own best in the world. We all know the best fighter in the world is Alexander Usyk. Do you think Anthony Joshua, do you think Daniel Dubois believe they're going to be the best heavyweight in the world? Daniel Dubois is the IBF champion now. Do you think he thinks he's the best heavyweight fighter in the world? No, he don't. Do you think Anthony Joshua thinks that? No, he don't. They know the best fighter is Alexander Usyk. So the public are now getting confused again. For once, we've got the belts unified. And this is where individuals profit and it gets greedy, where the governing bodies say, oh, we're going to create our own. Why? Why do that? Why not work together? Why not stick together? Because Usyk's one of the few fighters that's in a position where he's bigger than the belt. Who's going to say, yeah, take it. Here, boys, here's my gift, take it.
Do you think this is doing a disservice to the fighters themselves? Because, in a scenario like you just described, they call this a paper champion. Do you think this is really just a paper champion no matter who wins?
Yeah, regardless. And both fighters know for a fact they are not the top tier. They know for a fact the top tier is Usyk. This is so publicly we're confusing the casual audience to say we've just seen Alexander Usyk beat Tyson Fury. He's the champion of the world. Oh no, he's not, because Daniel Dubois. But what did I just see last week? You know what I mean? This is where we shoot ourselves in the foot.
That's and Usyk has beaten both of the fighters that are fighting for the IBF.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you think it doesn't do our sport any justice, and it's foolishness. It's this kind of foolishness that will forever keep dragging us back into the dark ages. Individuals profit. Now you've got all these promoters having to work together. At one point, one promoter will have more influence with the WBO, the WBC, or IBF. So he'll make sure his fighters, has the opportunities and keep everything sweet. Now you're in a position where they all had to work together and stand by the rules of the game to say, well, even though I've got mates in the WBO or the IBF or the WBC, I've got to play ball. The best is the best. It's not just to fool the public there. The best is the best. So now we'll get this fight on. So that's the business side of it. Let's leave that to one side. You've got two guys fighting each other. Anthony Joshua has been where Daniel Dubois is. He's had to go through his licks. He's had to go through losing. He's had to grow up in public. He's had to find a better version of himself to get to where he is now. Daniel Dubois is going through that. So you've got to have wisdom. You've got to have experiences, good and bad, to get wisdom. Now AJ is more wise than Daniel Dubois.
But is he as hungry?
You know what? You got to look at the past performances. The past performances, it's a case of this. AJ's looking, thinking, you know, did he look hungry in the last fight? He did to me. Got the job done. Let those hands go. Boom, boom, boom. He took my man off his feet. And yes, my man's only had one professional fight before that. But before that, you've seen a fighter that's all of a sudden starting to let his hands go. And this has always been my criticism of AJ. You let those hands go. Let him go, man. Stop thinking about it. The AJ that box with Dylan White, I'm like, there he is, but he disappeared for a while. Now he's had to go for the flat, go for the stick, get criticised by people like me and you, for him to think, right, you know what, I'm doing this for me. Now all of a sudden he's coming there. Daniel Dubois is the same. Daniel Dubois is having to work through, but Daniel Dubois gets hit far too often to let somebody that lets his hands go. Now, this version of Anthony Joshua, he's far too open to let this version of Anthony Joshua hit him. Because Anthony Joshua doesn't punch, he bangs. He explodes. He'll take you off your feet. And Daniel cannot afford to give those shots.
Let me contrast the two narratives, because I love the narrative of these fights, right? And so Dubois, having come through two tough fights, having to get all the metal in his body to get through those fights and be successful. While you say he gets hit too much, I think a lot people would agree. And then Joshua needed a confidence boost. He needed to show that he was dominant again. He had two dominant performances, arguably against competition that he should have been able to dominate fairly easily and did. So when a guy like Dubois, who is coming through tough, coming through hard, and proving to himself and everyone else that he's not a quitter, that he can get through those tough moments, is on a momentum like that, meets a guy like Joshua who's done it all already, who's been the king of boxing in England for sure, and is now on a redemption path, but seemingly an easier road in the last couple of fights. Who's got the momentum? Like, which side in that narrative do you think is best?
So the only other heavyweight that hits as hard, if not harder than Anthony Joshua, is Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder's gone now. He's out of the picture. Anthony Joshua hits far too hard. So to be a fighter that believes in himself, that finally lets a penny drops, that version of Anthony Joshua hits too hard. And even though Daniel Dubois has come through the flames of hell and getting bit by Hrgovic and he's putting the pressure on, Hrgovic doesn't hit like Anthony Joshua. And I'm telling you, no matter what, he's only human. You cannot afford to get hit like that. Because
you think he has an answer for that? Do you think Dubois has a defense for that?
Yeah, his answer is to try and break his heart. His answer is to break his heart and keep the pressure on. He brought on that Tyson style to try and put Hrgovic under pressure. And because Hrgovic, as a fighter, I've seen him many times, kind of switch off mid-fight and say, I don't want none of this. And Daniel kept the pressure on consistently enough to break my man's heart, cut his eye, and so it just looked like it was in the wrong direction for Hrgovic.
People think that Joshua is susceptible to pressure, that if you get him on the ropes in that way mentally, that you can break him. You think Dubois can break Joshua that way?
No, Anthony Joshua, no, I don't. I don't think Dubois can. You know, the only two people we've seen break him is Usyk twice and
Ruiz.
Ruiz. And Ruiz, you know, that was a miscalculation. He righted it wrong after that. He got that wrong, you know, because Ruiz tried exactly the same thing in the second fight. And look what happened. You know, Usyk had two opportunities and AJ had two opportunities to get the wrong right again. He couldn't. So that's the guy that had his number. So why you think, you know, putting him under pressure? Nobody's actually done that, apart from a clever fighter like Usyk that's done that.
We've seen Usyk surprise Joshua in the first fight that they had, and when Usyk beat him, and now we've seen Usyk surprise Fury in the first fight, and he's beaten Fury. And often, with a guy who is undefeated takes his first loss, it's hard for him to accept. And we've seen that from Wilder. We've seen it in an odd way from Joshua, especially the second time against Usyk. But Fury, having said that was an easy fight, maybe too easy, that he felt like he was fighting a local amateur. What are your thoughts on a comment like that after a fight like Undisputed?
Well, if you believe he believes that, then you know, he's speaking to you with contempt that you're foolish. He don't believe that, you know. And if he's going to tell you that and you're going to run with it, this is what he believes. He don't believe that, trust me. And as I said, I can remember having a draw of one of my defense of the world title, and I thought I actually lost. I can remember going to do the interview, Brendan said, telling me won it easy. I'm like, yeah, you know, I won it easy. I thought I had a fight. Sometimes you got to say what you got to say. Fury knows how hard that fight was. Fury talks about, the corner said I won and I thought I didn't win. Fury knows more boxing than everybody else in that team. He knows how to read a fight more than anybody else in that team. He's a better historian out of everybody else in that team. So for him to tell you he believed that people that told less than him told him was winning, so he believed him. He knew how that fight was going. So he's just telling you that. He's just telling the public that. What else can he say? What else can he say? So he's not going to say, yeah, my man, give me the arse in. The thing is, he's got to now change something fundamentally because we saw cameos of how he could beat him. Now he knows Usyk has the power to hurt him, power to outbox him, power to pace him. So now he's got to think, right, what have I got to do? Can I keep up what I did from round 4 to round 9, up to round 9? Can I keep that up all the way through for 12 fights, 12 rounds? Now remember, Usyk before the fight said, I'm not going to leave you alone. I'm not going to leave you on. And Usyk, Fury was the only one that I've seen Usyk make Usyk look like he's in so much trouble. But he wasn't consistent enough to keep it up. And so the responsibility of being a champion is be a responsible champion and don't let those mistakes happen. And I don't believe it was a mistake or miscalculation. I think he just has to change some fundamental things in his arsenal to make a difference.
On the heels of a Ngannou fight that was much too close, then a loss to Usyk, the question has to be asked, is Fury on the decline?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I do believe that, without a doubt. And again, I'm not hating, man. Come on, I'm just speaking. I'm just cutting out the bullshit. Without a doubt, is he the fighter that went in and got robbed against Wilder in the first fight? He's not that fighter. We saw this guy, show boxing ability, show everything. Even an out of shape guy show boxing ability and everything. He's got a comfortable life, a comfortable existence. He's surrounding himself with people that will not question him, will not risk getting sacked by him. So therefore, he stopped developing and learning as a fighter because he stopped listening, he stopped hearing what develops you as a fighter and keeps you up there. So is he slipping? Yeah, I believe he is, without a doubt. You look at Canelo. I think this version of Canelo is not the version he was 5 years ago, but this version still beats 97% of fighters in the world, like Fury. This version of him still beats 95% of the fighters in the world.
The adjustments that need to be made on both sides. I mean, Usyk is smart enough to know you can't come in and do the exact same thing again because Fury will make adjustments. What do you think will make the difference in the second fight for either side, and who wins it?
Fury, and this is what I said before the fight, Fury needs to use his physicality, his size, his fighting ability, his boxing ability, two different ones. Fury is the best fighter out of the two of them. He's not the better boxer. He ended up being outsmarting himself, trying to outbox a boxer and got boxed up. If he fights him, boxes him, uses his physicality, using his height and reach and his natural strength, Usyk cannot compete. It's impossible. But what Fury is saying, I thought I had it easy, I was a boxing. You're never going to outbox him. If you use all those 5 things that have worked for you, got to this stage in your career successfully, against Klitschko, against all of them, against Wilder, why would you deviate and try and be 3 smart? 3 smart is outsmarting yourself. So what does Fury have to do? Use all 4 of those things: boxing ability, physicality, fighting ability, and all those combined, he beats Usyk. But the problem is this: is he now at a well where he's thinking, I want to drink, man, but there's not enough water left. I don't know what's there. Can I do this? For Usyk, pace was the key. Pace was the key. Keep that pace up. Keep tasking him. Make him use his legs. Make him step over himself. Make him trip over himself. The last 2 or 3 fights of Fury, I've seen him trip over himself. His legs don't look right. Make him trip over himself. Make it hard for himself. But pace is the key. Boxing ability is the key. And that's what Usyk has to do.
Now, I know, based on your breakdown of Dubois, Joshua, that you got Joshua winning this fight. So with that said, the Joshua that we've seen the last 2 fights, and if he is successful against Dubois, does that guy win a 3rd fight against Usyk or a 1st fight against Tyson Fury?
He has the ability to do that. But what I'm saying is, you look at the caliber of opponent you're going with, and if you believe, when he believes in himself and lets those hands go, this guy can beat anybody. He can beat anybody. And I see that because I'm thinking you're powerful, you're smart, you're strong, you can beat anybody. After he lost the first fight to Usyk, and he thought, right, then I'm going to right this strong, and he actually boxed better in the second fight against Usyk, but Usyk was one step ahead of him. One step ahead of him. Now, he's going to think, what can I change? I've got to have more confidence, have more belief in myself and what I'm doing, and make sure the pace is key. Unfortunately, Usyk has more pace than Joshua and Fury, and that's going to be the problem.
I'm going to bring you down to one more narrative, and then I'll let you go. The one that no one really is talking about, but I see clearly, is the trainers in the corner. We have Don Charles on the one side, and we've got Ben Davidson on the other side. There is like a triangle of trainers and experience and love and hurt in all of these fights. First of all, Don Charles obviously was a part of Joshua's early career. They have a long history past from when Joshua was a youth and coming up, and he's still very emotional when you talk about Joshua. Do you think that figures in at all in Don Charles preparing Dubois to defeat the fighter that, you know, he once trained as a young man and still has emotional ties to, and could maybe know better than anybody the buttons to push and the weaknesses to lean on?
This is business, and Don Charles is a very good trainer, coach, confident. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves in how good a trainer he actually is, and that's because he's never had the correct fighter to show his prowess, to show what he can do. Don Charles is a very good coach. So a coach can only do so much, and then it's down to the fighter's ability. So I think for Don Charles, you see that union with him and Daniel Dubois working. You're seeing the last fight, you think, all right, now it's ticking in. We see it's kicking in. It works for him. Tactics is going to be everything. For Anthony Joshua, Ben has had to remind Joshua what he's capable of doing and show him, this is what you can do. This is in your hands. You have the ability. You have the artillery. This is what you can do. And so he's had to show him what he can do. Now, as long as Anthony Joshua does what he's capable of doing, then he gets to win. But if he doesn't, he loses. And Ben's had to show. I've got to give it to Ben. Ben's had to show to AJ, this is what you can do. Believe in what you can do.
Does the Ben Davidson piece of the Joshua team make the difference if Joshua gets to Fury, which we think will happen kind of almost no matter what happens? They're going to find a way to make Joshua Fury in England. I mean, it's the same thing in a way. Like Ben Davidson has this history with Fury. No matter what he says, there probably couldn't be anything better to him than beating Fury with Joshua after all that's happened.
Well, Fury left Ben Davidson for a reason, whatever that reason was. So if Fury's thinking, well, you know what, you ticked a few boxes, but not all the boxes for me. That's why I left it. Because he didn't lose on his watch. And so he left for a reason. I think Ben, as I said, Ben's job is to remind Anthony Joshua what he's capable of doing. And in doing that, instilling that belief in himself. Is he adding anything different to his artillery? Yeah, his belief. That's what he's adding to his artillery. I think Tyson Fury is a very schooled student of our game. And I think whoever he's working with, he'll always know more than them. But he's got to be willing to listen and learn, listen and pay attention, listen and respect. Listen to the game plan and think, right, that works. Sit down and negotiate. Sit down and say, can we do X, Y, Z? He's got to analyse it. Because if you end up being free smart is outsmarting yourself.
This time next year, I think a lot of these questions will have been answered in the ring. Who will be undisputed heavyweight champion come June 2025?
Well, if Usyk's still around and still has the same desire, he's the oldest out of a lot of them. Usyk. Well, we've got to wait and see.
Beats them all, you say?
We've got to wait and see, man. We've got to go past record. You can always wish and hope and say it should be X, Y, Z, but you've got to go on what you think. Radio
Rahim with Johnny Nelson. So happy to be back on the British soil, having a British fight with British fighters. Thank you, sir. Radio Rahim with Johnny Nelson.